A recent survey found that 2/3 of retirees here in Canada are worried about running out of money. In this video, I'm going to go through the article, but more importantly, cover off some tips for all of you watching this video to help alleviate that stress. My goal for all of our clients and for all of our viewers here is to help all of you not fear running out of money. Have tools in place, strategies in place to make sure that you're comfortable as you go in and through retirement. The Canadian Pension Plan Investment Board conducted a survey of 4,000 people. So it's not a huge number of people, but it's enough to get a good feedback. And 61% said that they actually feared running out of money in retirement. Now, this kind of lines up with other data out there supporting that a lot of people, more than 50%, walk into retirement without a proper retirement plan. In my opinion, I think the combination of no retirement plan and the fear of running out of money, not the reality necessarily, go hand in hand. If you don't know where you're going, of course you fear running out. It's like going on a walk, on a hike somewhere. If you don't have a trail map and you hike out into the wilderness, there's a chance you may get lost. But if you have a trail map, it's more likely you're going to end up back at your car and be able to get home. It's the same with retirement. If you have a clear map, a trail map heading into retirement, showing you what you need to do, how much you can spend, where your money needs to come from, it's going to be a lot easier and less fear of running out of money. The survey was conducted amongst a wide age group, and those of the younger to mid-age group, about 30 to 45, their fear was running out of money at the end of life, like outliving their money. And that's because longevity is increasing over time. So those of us in their 30s, 40s, 50s, if you're younger in your 30s, 40s, the chances that you live in your 90s or maybe even 100s by the time you hit that age is actually quite likely. And so how do you afford those years? And here's my tip for all of you, whether you're in your 30s or your 60s and you're fearful of running out of money later in life. Try and find someone in your world that's in their late 80s into their 90s, maybe even they're 100 already, and ask them how much money they spend. Now, for someone that's in a care facility, yes, they might be spending a lot. If they're in a private care facility, they're going to be spending a lot of money. So let's carve those out. That is a very, very small percentage of the Canadian population. The vast majority of those in their 80s and 90s or 100s that are in care facilities or in public care facilities, there's many great public care facilities across the country. And what you pay is based on how much income you have. So running out of money really isn't a concern. But talk to those that aren't in a care facility. How much money are they actually spending? It's very, very small. We have a few clients in their 90s. I have a client turning 100 very shortly here. And let me tell you, he doesn't spend a lot of money because he can't. It's very low cost of living. So for him, he can live off his Canadian pension plan and old age security. If he had no other assets at all, he's to be able to pay the bills and do what he wants to do and put food on the plate. The fear of running out of money, if you have the Canadian pension plan, say 60, 70% of max Canadian pension plan, and old age security, you're probably going to be okay into your later years, even if you need a care facility. You'll be put in a public care facility. Again, there's many great ones. I have family that work in this space. They work in private and public, and they say the public one gives much better care. Now, again, that's in their area that they live. So that's one piece of feedback. I've heard other things from other people, but again, there's options out there. I think a lot of us think, yeah, we're going to run out of money because I need a care home at $10,000 a month. That's just not the reality for most people. And for people that are moving that direction, they have that money. We have some clients that are spending that every single month for care. They have that type of money to spend and they want to spend it. So don't fall into that trap of, I need hundreds of thousands of dollars later in life to pay for my care. The survey also found that 66% of women feared running out of money, where only 56% of men. And my assumption here, and I hate making assumptions, but I think what a lot of times is in a relationship, often we see, and this is just data that we see, the man in the household is running the finances. And with the divorce rate so high, if you run finances together, let's say all the way till age 60, and then the marriage falls apart, and the husband's been running the finances, and then the wife hasn't been too involved, that leaves her in a tough position. And that's why I think it's really, really important when you're creating a financial plan. If you're married or common law and you're watching this video, and you're the person, probably if you're watching this video, probably the person that does the finances, because not a lot of people watch financial and retirement videos if you're not too interested in it. So you're probably the one that drives the bus around finances and retirement in your relationship. The reality is the person beside you probably doesn't have as good of knowledge. bring them into the conversation. You need to get them involved. And anytime we do a retirement plan for our clients, we always bring in the spouse that isn't involved. In fact, a funny story happened not too long ago where we called the client and we said, hey, Joe and Sally, we need to kind of connect. And Sally picked up and said, you know what? No, I don't meet with you guys anymore. Call my husband. And so we called him and he's like, yeah, she doesn't want to talk to you guys anymore. And we thought something went wrong. But it was because we dragged her into that first meeting, said, no, Sally, you have to be in that first meeting no matter what. At least get a lay of the land. She didn't want anything to do with it beyond that. That was fine. But start getting your spouse or common law partner involved in the conversation, because there may be a day where you're not here anymore. You may pass away earlier and you left it to them. They need to have a general idea what's going on and just give that comfort to them. Again, maybe you're sitting there saying, no, I don't fear running out of money at all. And your spouse has the exact opposite mentality. They're very fearful of running out of money because they don't know what's going on. And maybe you haven't had that conversation. So open up that conversation. Let's get that data, men and women, fearing running out of money, like 20, 30% max. I'd like it at 0, but obviously that's impossible. But let's get that down and more leveled out. And I think sharing that information with your spouse or common law partner is going to greatly help that. The survey also found that the average Canadian, based on the data, needs about $55,000 a year, up from $50,000 in 2023. And I would say that's about average. We do plans for Canadians coast to coast, and I would say most people are looking for maybe $60,000 to $70,000. Now, we have a fee-for-service plan, so people are paying us for a plan, so it's going to be skewed a bit on the upside. I do understand that, but I think $55,000 is very realistic. The average bulk, asset base that someone needs, based on the survey, they predicted about $900,000, and I think about $750,000 to $1 million, along with some CPP and old age security. I think you can have a very nice retirement. Obviously, if you're single or you're retiring earlier, you're going to need a little bit more money. Now, I want to cover off a few more data points here, but then I want to talk about a really important way to build your retirement plan to bring that fear of running out of money or how to do retirement off the table. I want to take that fear away from you, and I'll cover that here in a second. The survey also found that 60% of people have money stress on a day-to-day basis. And I think that has tied in with the increase in prices of everything we buy. Inflation was ramped up the last few years, and every last thing that we have to put money to has increased 10, 20, 30, 100%, it seems like. I know for us, I have 4 little kids. My kids are 5, 7, 9, 11. And my kids eat a ton of food. And my food bill has gone through the roof. My wife and I have recently gone gluten-free for some health reasons, and that has driven up the price. And so my weekly, we buy online at Superstore, try and keep it as cheap as possible. And our weekly grocery bill is still around $500 to $600 per week. Plus we hit Costco once in a while for, big meat packages. So food is expensive. Going out to do anything is expensive. Anything we go do as a family of 6, it costs $100. If I can do anything for under $100, we won. Typically it's $200 up to $300 just to go out and do anything. And so life is very expensive. So the day-to-day stress of finances I get, and I understand it, and I'm actually surprised it's not a little bit higher. I think the cost of living, people are adjusting to it. Our wages haven't gone up with the same rate as everything else around us has gone up. Housing costs for younger people. How do I get into a house? How am I ever going to afford to kind of have a family if I want to do that and buy a house and live and put a roof over my head? There's a lot of stress on the day-to-day, and I understand that. And that's why I say, talk to your financial planner, even go into your bank. I don't like the banks. Obviously, I've been very clear on that. But talk to somebody that will kind of walk you through the basics of advice. Again, we have our masterclass, and we're going to have our masterclass going on sale here Black Friday in the US coming up. So we will have that sale. It's $99. We'll have it down to $79 for Black Friday, so you can hold off for that. But we'll have that. And that's 100 videos, just like the basics. It's built for people like 20 to 45 years old. Which I know aren't most of our viewers, but maybe you have kids or grandkids that are really stressing about money. Get them into our masterclass. It will give them a lot of that base knowledge that they should have learned back in high school. So again, we'll be posting that sale here shortly. My last tip for all of you, whether you stress about money, whether you stress about retiring and worrying about running out of money at some point in retirement, the way that our team builds plans is my recommendation on how you build your plan, or you do it with your financial planner, is build it from both ends. And here's what I mean by that. Think about how much money do I think I need for retirement? And again, the data in this survey said $55,000. So let's say, I need $55,000 to retire and you're looking to retire in a few years. Have your financial planner run that to see, based on all the numbers, what you're doing, what you're able to save, could you retire in 2 years and have $55,000? Now, when they build that and when we build our plans, we say, okay, in 2 years, here's what you're going to have. And so you need $55,000, that's one end. The other end is based in 2 years, here's what you could have. Let's say it's $50,000. We're a bit short. How can we get to $55,000? Do we have to work a bit longer? Right? Do we look at maybe we downsize the house? They're okay with that. So how do we look at different options? We need 55, we have 50. There's a shortfall. Either we need to make up that shortfall internally somehow, or we need to work a little bit longer. Sometimes it's the opposite. You need 55, you're going to have 65. There's a bit of a surplus. Do you want to retire earlier? Do you want to spend more money? Do you want to help the kids? There's many options that you could do with that. But when I talk about building a retirement from both ends, it's how much do you think you need? And this is a question that we ask clients. How much do you think you need? They may not know exactly, but most people have a rough idea on kind of day-to-day finances. So how much do you think you need? And then let's build a plan to say, how much will you have based on certain retirement dates? And are we short or do we have a surplus? And if we're short, how do we make up that short? And if we have a surplus, how do we want to deal with that? For a lot of you watching this video, that surplus is a tax problem. And I always tell people, I would say 80% of the retirement plans that our office does for Canadians, our clients have a tax problem, not an income problem. It's a good problem to have, obviously. We know you have enough money. It's just, you actually have a bit too much. And you're going to run into too much taxes. So how do we reduce the tax bill? How do we maybe shuffle it off to the next generation and actually help them? Reduce the tax bill from you, put the asset on the next generation, help them get into homes and pay off debt and things like that and create generational wealth. There's going to be a lot of financial stress as you lead up to retirement. In my mind, 100% of Canadians should be able to walk into retirement without any financial stress because they have a proper plan. If that's not you, reach out to our office. We'd be happy to help. parallelwealth.com/planning.